Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well. It's the 17th of December. Market is due open now. Okay, so there was a lower high there. Very tempting, that. Two legs up and a lower high. Worked beautifully. I did take a trade on one single account a while ago, but got out of it. So hopefully I have mine set now so I can't trade within the first 10 minutes. So unfortunately I couldn't trade. I have moved some things around a bit so you can kind of see what I've got on the daily. I've got my fund of futures on another account. It doesn't show up down here, but Speedy, how you doing, buddy? So, I hope everybody is all ready and set for Christmas. We are literally just a week tomorrow away. Christmas Eve a week today. It's come round really quick, I've got to say. So, maybe there is a large channel here. Let's have a little look. Let's put that there, put that there. Maybe a spike in channel of some sort. It's hard to say, really. Something like that. I tend to not like putting it in half a bar, but maybe there is. We'll see how far this comes down if it does. But nice touches there. Nice touches there. Definitely coming down at the moment, isn't it? So that worked really well, actually. How far did that work for? So nice. So 8.5, 8 3/4 points, somewhere about there. So is this letting me, hold on a second. Can I trade now? Let me have a look. No, still won't let me trade. I've got it for the first 10 minutes because of yesterday, a little bit premature in there. Yeah, worked nice, that did. Two clear legs up. Dropped down below the EMA. There was kind of a failure there or a higher low, depending on whatever you want to call it, and that looked like it trapped some longs. I wouldn't be thinking about going long just at the moment because obviously the market's at the moment is looping down. So I have got another valuation. The 80% off finishes today. I'm assuming midnight. It's usually around about midnight. So I'm not sure what we'll get then. It's going to be quiet over Christmas anyway, so they may do something spectacular. Who knows? You never know. It would be nice to have something for Christmas. Maybe 80% off an $85 or 90% off an $85. That would be even nicer. It's 8, isn't it? Yeah. In fact, market's quieting down now. I may set it if it'll let me. Yeah, it will. I may set it to allow trading. So I'm just to avoid the first 5 minutes. So I've got it 40, haven't I? 33. So let's say the first 5 minutes. So if I take it down to 35. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Can't trade the first 5 minutes. I think 5 minutes is enough, really. It doesn't always do something, but sometimes it rattles around a little bit. But this seems to have calmed down. What I don't want to do is get a nice second entry here and not being able to take it because so let's just take it quick. Scap that. Okay. I should be able to trade now. Let me just check everything comes out.
Order submitted.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent. Let's just have a look here. Leg and a leg. Let's just leave this here and see what happens. We got no news. We had some earlier. Didn't really do a lot, I don't think. What's that? Stacking up a little bit there. Need to see one more push through phase to fully confirm it. Yeah. Trouble is, if you put it from there, in fact, that wouldn't look that bad actually. That's probably a better idea. So, what you could do is, if we do break above it, possibly trade it as a fell breakout. Yeah, Thomas Wade's got it like that. I actually think that's better, because that would be out of it. Yeah, that looks much better to me. So it is holding there. So if we can get a little break above and then a bearish bar, I'd have a go at that. It may just drop down. There's nothing I can do. You can't take anything there, really. You've got to get a fell breakout up and then to go down. Can't trade any of that lot, really. Someone took that. I'm surprised. Daryl, how you doing, buddy? Sorry, mate, I didn't see you there. Okay, it's too late now. That's
Order
gone,
cancelled.
yeah, it does seem to be holding there. Where it holds from, I don't know. Wherever you want it to do it, but if we put it sort of there, I think we're not going to be far away. It does look like it is looping down. Unfortunately, maybe we get a breakout pullback. It actually looks a bit better on my second chart. It fits from there, touch, 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 and it's holding nice. Bottoms are nice. We come away a little bit here, so we may get a bit of a break here, which is okay. Couple of legs up. We'll see. Having said that, it depends how you're looking at it. If you go from the top, I mean, you could say it's a break, but I'm not even a fan of that being a channel, really, to be honest with you. But there is a push up to push it down to a new low. So there is a possibility we've already had a break. We will see. Let me just get an order here, just in case we get some kind of a second entry short here. It's a little bit risky around here, I think, even a second entry short, because depending on how you've got that we may have already had a break to pushes down to a new low. But this doesn't look to me like it's in a hurry to push up. I mean, this is what you want to see. 2 legs down, 2 legs up, 2 legs down, 2 legs up, and it's gone up and it's gone sideways with a little breakout. It's struggling to get down a bit here, so could be a bit trappy here. Let's bring this a bit closer. There is a second entry short on the other chart. I'm not sure. If we've had a break here, we could push up. 2 attempts to go lower, and this could go up. So I'm being a bit cautious here. There's not much room to the lows, certainly not enough. There's barely 2 points. So it could be 2 legs down and then a move up. It depends whether you've got a break here, but this is a little bit sideways and a bit risky. So I'm sitting tight here because this could trap some shorts. Does anybody know if there's a way whether you can disable the buy and sell up here? I want to keep this on because I like having the close button and I like to just double check everything as it is. But I'd like to get rid of the buy and sell buttons. Buy market and sell market. I know I can just cover them up, but I just wonder whether there's a way to disable them. What I find is on the odd occasion I get a little bit impulsive like I did yesterday, and I use those buttons. And to be honest with you, having that little extra time to right click and sell and then drag it into place, I think stops you or helps you from less of an impulsive mistake, which I took yesterday. My trading is not far off. There's just a few little extras I need to sew. Hey, Tony, how you doing? There's just a few extras I need to sew up. I think my skill level is okay. It's enough to make money, and obviously it's going to improve, but I think it's good enough to make money. I think at the moment my patience is probably my best asset, although I used to struggle with that. Discipline is pretty good. I can pretty much sit here for a couple of days and take a good trade, but just on the off chance I can get a little bit impulsive. So I'm not far off. I'm just trying to focus on the bits I need to work on. Yeah, that's what I was concerned of. That second entry short near the chart didn't trigger, but it's just risky around here. I'm not 100% sure that's right. If we go from the top, you could argue touch, we've had a break new low and we've just come down and tried to test this area a couple of times, in which case it may go up. But I say may because I'm not sure really. So yeah, I think out of 10, 1 being completely awful, 10 being as good as it gets, I'd say my patience is probably around about a 7.5. Maybe an 8. I think that's good. I think it's definitely my strongest point. Maybe even 7.5, 8.5, somewhere around about there. My discipline, I would say, I'm pretty disciplined. I would say is probably about a 7.5 as well. So there's plenty of room to maneuver. My ability to accept losses, I think I still struggle with a little bit. So I'd say that may be a 5 or a 6. My skill level I think is okay, so I'd say that's probably a 7.5. So there's this, you know, once I think you get to the 7.5, I think you're good enough then to make money. You've got the right skills to make money, but obviously there's improvement. I was thinking about this earlier. Where do I need the most work? But I think trading's about constantly looking at yourself and trying to improve and finding out where your flaws are. You know, we've all got flaws. I mean, the biggest being human beings. But I think I've got some skills. I've got some skills that make me money. I think I've got some good attributes. I think my patience is really good now. Much better than it was. 2 years ago, I struggled to sit here all day without taking a stupid trade. I think last week, I sat here for most of the week without taking a trade. So I think that's my strongest part. My chart reading, I think, is okay. Maybe a 7, 7.5. Obviously, room to improve year on year, year in, year out, as you all makes those small adjustments and improvements. Absolutely. It is. It is kind of like tuning a Formula One engine, isn't it? Just tweaking, and obviously the more you work on it, the more experience you get. And but I think as a trader, you've got to constantly, never think you know it all, never think you can work the market out, never get too confident, and kind of look at every day as a school day, because I think you learn something every day. Absolutely, and I don't say that just because I'm trying to be humbled. I genuinely believe this is a business that your skill is everything. And obviously, year in, year out, I've been trading this style now for 3.5 years. I'm guessing in another 3.5 years, I'm going to be much better chart reader, much better discipline. But I think as a trader, you've got to constantly strive to improve. I think you automatically will anyway, just with skill. In like any job, the longer you've been doing it, generally, the better you get at it. There's kind of a leg and a leg up there, so this may come down and retest this area, but to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of it. Not only that, there is a second entry long there. So I think we've had a break. We've tested it once, twice. I don't think that's a terrible trade to take. It is a second entry long, but it is a bit... there's not much room anyway to these highs, so I'm going to leave that one. But yeah, it does take time. But I think if you're honest with yourself and you look and try and work on, my patience takes care of itself now. I just get better and better, so I don't need to do anything there. That constantly kind of works in the background. My discipline, the same. I don't need to worry too much about that. That's improving with time, but it's still that acceptance of a loss, I think, is my weakest point. My chart reading is okay. I think it's average or above average, and my skill the same. But, I pretty much know it's common sense. That's going to get better with time and with age. I've been trading for over years now. You missed out the number, I think, there, chat, over years now. Finally had a payout, and it happened when I basically took one trade a day and stopped, which kept me from 4 years. Yes, you've been trading the same as me. I absolutely agree with that. Do you know what? It's strange to say that. About two years ago, not long after I started trading, I had a phone call from a guy called Joe. He said he watched me stream and he just felt that he needed to phone me because he felt like he was going through, or he'd gone through the same sort of thing as I was. And his advice to me was just to take one trade a day, which I ignored. I listened to it, but I thought, no, I want to take more than that. Just take one a day and then walk away or go on a sim. A sim's a better idea because I think you still need to work on your trade. And strangely enough, now I look back, he was absolutely right. Because there's two things that does. One, it stops you from taking more than one loss. And two, it establishes some self-control, which, as we know, is a big part of trading. So I think that one a day, especially with this style of trading, obviously we know, if you're looking at an hourly chart, things are a lot more relaxed. You've got more time to think. But, when you're trading fast-moving markets like this, you don't have a lot of time to think. So it is very easy to get impulsive. So I think the one trade a day it is a good way to trade, I think. Now, when you get more experienced, and I look at people like people I know more experienced than me that were around when I started, people like Marco, people like Daniel. Now, I know Daniel will take 2 trades, 3 trades, 1. I think most of the day he'll take 1 or 2 trades. And I try and look at his charts whenever he posts them. He posts them a little bit more than he used to. And I try and look what he takes, because I think there are trades in there that maybe you will pick up more as your skill gets better. What I find is so for instance, I didn't used to take triple tests. Now I take them a lot more. So I think as you add strings to your bow and you improve and you understand the setups a bit more, I think initially you take on too much. We've heard Max said, stick to second entries, don't think about failures. And then you'll get to a point where second entries will be a lot, more second nature. And then you'll start to look at failures and then triple tests and then fail breakouts, breakout pullbacks and all this. So there's quite an array of setups you can take. And I think you automatically adopt them as kind of organically as your experience kind of allows. You let a bit more information in and then you shut it off for a bit. And then when that sinks in, you let a bit more information. And I think that just organically comes with time. So I'm quite happy now that I understand that, this is a hard business and experience counts for a massive amount. There is a second entry long there and a failure. But I'm just sitting tight at the moment just in case we end up having something like this. Not just that. The move's already been made. If we had a failure down here, I may be interested. But so I kind of sort of do a self-analysis of myself once in a while. But I think it is trying to identify where you struggle and work on it. It is a working process. That helped me get to payout on Top Step. I just aimed for $200 a day, yeah, which was 9-tick win per day. I think when you think about it, it's simple. Put into practice, not so simple. We all know, most of us now have been trading a couple of years, a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, know what a good setup looks like. Now, there are good setups, but the context can be a little bit more tricky to read. That's where experience counts. And I think if someone put a gun to your head and say the next trade you take better be a winner or I'm going to end it, you'd probably take a winner because you'd wait for something that looks that good. And when you find those, they rarely fail. So you need a setup. You need the setup to appear nice in the best possible way, and you need the right context, so it needs to be aiming in the right direction. And when you get those two together, that's kind of when the magic happens. You take a trade and it works perfectly. We all know those trades. We don't get them as often as we'd like, so we kind of use our skill to try and find the little bit more advanced ones that take a little bit more time. But when you do that and you're not as advanced, that's when you can get those little slip-ups. But if you don't try them, you'll kind of never really learn, will you? As we know, losses are there to teach us vital lessons, as they do, never more than in trading. I determine whether I was not successful or I have a green or red day. Means nothing. Yeah, I get a little bit hard on myself there. I class as a loss as a failure, and I shouldn't do. Now, I read in a book once, I forget where it was, and it was a book about business that I read years ago. And apparently, if you fail a bunch of times at business in the US, you're considered successful when you actually get there. And in the UK, you're considered a failure if you fail. The way the US see it is business doesn't come natural. It doesn't work every time, and you are going to fail sometimes. So I thought that was a better way of doing it. You tend to look at things a little better, that success in nearly all cases comes from failure. Whereas over here, we kind of don't. So I don't know whether I have that sort of ingrained in me, kind of from where I am, but I do still struggle with losses, if I'm honest. Now, if I take what I think's a great setup and it loses, those I can deal with. Yesterday, I got a bit impulsive and jumped in when I shouldn't have done, and those are the ones that tend to not so much send me on tilt now, but make me just do silly, impulsive things. So I'm trying to focus now on how I deal with the losses. Now, I mentioned I was looking at, I was watching, who's the guy that wrote the Greatest Best Loser Wins? What's his name? think he's a German guy, something like that. He's from around that part. Gone blank. Bald Dead, you guys know him. Tom Hugard, yeah. Now, he's a seasoned trader, as most people know. He's wrote books. He's worked for some successful people. And I saw him take two losses in a row about a month ago. He was down $14,000. Now, I think sometimes we can get mixed up with the better trader wins more trades, which is not necessarily the case. The better trader wins his fair amount of trades, but he deals with the losses a lot better and a lot more controlled. And I think that's where I need to focus on the not so successful parts of my package. So I'm kind of preparing for a loss, and I'm going to try and kind of embrace it as a part of doing business, which it is. And I think if I can sew that last part of the puzzle up, I think I've got a good package then to take forward, as a consistent trader, because I'm starting to get consistent. I'm having some good attributes of consistency. I'm able to sit there patiently. I'm able to be disciplined majority of the time. And I think once you get those various different aspects, that's when things come together and you start to see some consistency. But yeah, seeing people like Tom, successful trader, been around the block, been working for some big companies, still takes a loss, still loses his fair chunk of money. But over time, he makes money. And that's what trading's about. It's not about being perfect. I think Brant said, didn't you say something about being, success is not about being perfect? Or somebody, I can't remember what it was, success isn't about being perfect. I lost 175 across 10 accounts yesterday on one trade. Didn't take another. That's out. Yeah, absolutely. So I have mine set to, well, I haven't at the moment. I've just adjusted a few things this morning, but I'm going to set it later on. I can't change anything at the moment, but I'm going to set all my accounts because I did find a loophole that if you have one account available that isn't under those settings, you can open that account in Guardian Angel Trader and copy those settings or lack of those settings to your other accounts and get straight back into them. So there is a little flaw there which you've got to be careful of. But I think that's the answer. If you take a loss, I think it's a good practice to either finish or move on to a sim. Now, I'm a believer in this business. You need regular work. So I would say I tend to like to do 2 to 2.5 hours every day, focused on the market. And even if you take a loss, I think it's important to maybe jump onto a sim because, but yeah. So I tend to look at my trading once in a while and just try to work out where needs work. But accepting a loss is my biggest flaw at the moment. It's better than it was, that much I know, but it still has its little niggles that bother me. So that's where I need to focus. So another reason I never went long around here is because of this. And it's had 4 touches there, so that kind of makes sense. So we've had a leg up and a leg, or we've had a little channel and then a break and then a couple of pushes to a new high. So this is either coming down for another leg or just working its way within a range. I mean, there is a possibility it could still go up. There may be something like that. But it's a bit early. Excuse me a sec. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I had to have a sneeze. So there may be something like that, or a smaller trade, maybe a spike and channel. Now this is at a break, so it could go up from this channel. It could go up from a bigger channel, or it could come down from a range. So it's a bit of a no-go area, this. I remember when I started watching your stream. You've come a long way. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. But it's not been an easy ride, is it? It's hard to know, see. You guys kind of know my journey. I don't know a lot of yours. So sometimes when you're going through a rough time, you think, is it just me? Is it just me that's struggling? Am I worse than everybody else? And then when I talk to other people, like I talk to Sam from time to time, and I've had a chat with Wilson from time to time, and I chat with you guys, and you realise most of us go through the same thing. I mean, I've blown over 700 evaluations. So part of my answer was throw money at it, which was completely the wrong thing to do. Now, we all have our way of getting there. Some do it for a lot less money than others. And I've thrown a lot of money at it from time to time. I have had a huge amounts of PAs. I think I've lost about 108 PAs. So I know one guy who lost 450 PAs. I know quite a few have lost over 300. So I've tend to throw. That's the trouble with having cheap evaluations. When we've had 90% off, it's very easy to just take risks. But, you know, we all get there at different levels. But they did a poll, didn't they, on the Facebook group about a month ago. How long did it take you to become consistent? And the biggest the biggest area was 4 to 6 years, which I kind of think is about right. There were a couple that said 2 years, and rightly so. They probably will, and there'll probably be a couple who maybe said more. But 4 to 6 years to become regularly consistent seems to be around about where I tend to find the majority of people. I'm at 4 years now, and I'm starting to feel like I'm actually slowly digging my way out now. But I still have a little slip once in a while. But yeah, 4 to 6 years sounds somewhere about right. Obviously, depends how much time you've got. It's easier for me. Even with a normal full-time job, I could still trade for a few hours in the evening, whereas the US guys, markets open kind of your normal working day. So you may not have the opportunity to put the same hours in. You know, you can go back over the chart, but obviously trading it real time just adds that little bit of extra realism. So I was that apex trap 1 day to pass. Not a good habit. You know, it's not, is it? It's an hard habit to get out of. After I was banned from their Facebook group, I decided to stop using. Yeah, that was just shocking. That should have never happened. You offer something for free to help people and they ban you for it. I think the trouble with some of those Facebook groups tend to make decisions without thinking. What they should have done is drop you a message and say, you know, what is it? Is it legit? Is it spam? Is it this? I dare say they have spam and stuff, but they should at least give you the courtesy of an email and a chat with you. And then as far as I'm concerned, a quick apology and then straight back in. But yeah, you've kind of got a reason now to walk away. But I have had that when they're cheap. It's very easy. You get into a trade, it goes against you. It's very easy to take a risk. You know, I mean, it's common sense. The less you have on the line, you know, if you're driving down the road in a beat-up 25-year-old car, you're going to be a lot less careful than if you were driving down the road in a £200,000 brand new car. It's kind of just the way we look at things. So I have an evaluation here, which I purchased this morning, and I'm trading it alongside for 5 contracts. I would say 98% of the evaluations that I've done, I've traded for the full 10 contracts, and it's a one-hit wonder, either win or lose, and I want to try and get out that habit. So I thought what I'd do, because I don't take a huge amount of trades, is up it to 5 contracts. That way it'll give me some breathing space and just trade it alongside my normal trades. I'm not going to trade it on its own unless I take one loss in a day, in which case I'll move over to that. But I'm going to try and trade it exactly the same as I do my normal account. So I'm just doubling up +1 the contracts. So I'll get there a little bit quicker. but I'm still going to take the same care, which is something I've not really done, to be honest with you. So I'm just trying to tweak the little bits of my trading that need to work. Well, I'm still waiting for a system today. Had 3 successful short trades. It was entirely with price level system. I'm not looking for good or bad bars. Yeah. See, this could be a penguin style trade in itself. We've got a break, 1, 2 pushes to a new low, and then a strong push up. This is very much a penguin style trade, this is. And usually when it gets above there, that's where it goes long to get out here and is stopped below here. But this is a slightly more advanced penguin trade. I tend to like them when they go that way, not when they break and go like this. Part of the reason I wouldn't want to go long off there is because that didn't reach the bottom, and it could come down. Speaking of penguin trades, my phone just bleeped. Excuse me, just a second. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. Okay. Okay, so chart break, new low. 4 to 6 target. If you concentrate and enter at key levels, you can get a very high win rate. Yeah, I believe you can, mate. 4 to 6 ticks. It's not a lot, really. Certainly 4 is not a lot, is it? And not only that, if you can get in actually on the close, what I tend to do now, I used to use a market order and hover 1 tick above it. But I've found when you trade in multiple accounts, they didn't all trigger at the same time. And sometimes if price hit if price hit the level you were dropping out, you kick your trade out and then you've got to right click. So I tend to use limit orders. And the beauty about a limit order is I can literally wait for the price to close. The second the next bar ticks above it, I can drop it right at the close. That way I'm in the trade and effectively I've saved myself a tick. So channel down, 2 pushes up, push down to a new low and a bounce here would be nice, and then we may catch a higher low. So channel break, 1, 2 pushes to a new low. So there's always a possibility we have another leg down. It would kind of make sense to get down to these levels. We'll see. Okay, drop out the bottom. Maybe this is going lower. So there is a possibility that that was actually a channel, and that kind of makes sense now. So maybe something like that. And there's our break, and there's our new low. So it's certainly possible. Maybe. I'm going to get rid of it for a minute anyway. I think it's irrelevant now. So let me just check these levels. I like that. A leg and a leg. So maybe we get something like this. I'm going to open this a little bit. Yeah, so we got this one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, and then a failure. Two legs up here, second entry short, retesting this. Hopefully by the time we get there, and the EMA may be interesting to go short. This has definitely got a bearish feel to it now. Let's put that there and that there. Just check everything's open. So
order submitted.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Order cancelled.
Just putting in a new low. Possibly, yeah. There seemed to be something, whether it's from there or whether it's from there, but it does look like a break and then two pushes down to a new low. See, there's a couple of people got this. So it's possible. Even if you take it from there, so maybe a leg, couple of legs up and down again. It's possible, so it's something, certainly something to pay attention to. I wouldn't want to fade this. We've only really had maybe 1 or 2 touches, not even in the right place. You could bring it back to there, but with this bearish sort of feel, fading it, I think may act as a trap. Couple of legs with a second entry short, I think would interest me. Obviously, you'd have to look right. If we can get 2 legs up and test this bottom line here a couple of times and then fail, thinking about something like that. Maybe something like that leg, couple of legs up and another leg down, get us close to this area. So a fail a couple of times. So back again, another attempt, and then down some more. Excuse me. Bearing in mind, mate, that if there is a channel there, we have broken the lows, so there's always that possibility that it could do something else. So it would have to look like 2 clean pushes up before I would get into a short there. Sometimes we don't even get back up there, the thing just drops. It would be nice if we could. Yeah, that's the trouble sometimes. We just get a break and it comes straight down. Not sure about that. I know, it does make you wonder whether we're going to have to adapt with things. You know, sometimes if it comes back, obviously traders, you know, a lot of traders just sell pullbacks. They don't necessarily trade second entries. And obviously sometimes we got to rely on it coming back twice. So for me, I think it depends what it looks like, how bearish it is. If we get a big bearish bar and it's snug, see, for instance, on my other chart, the first entry, but look how nice that's fitting under there. It's tight right to that. It's pushed above and it's tight, and it worked. So I don't know, maybe sometimes, maybe something, I don't know, maybe it's a case of dropping down to one contract and going for something like that. It might just be nice to look back on your chart later and just find out how many of them worked, you know, in a trend. But if it looks as tight as that one did to the bottom of the EMA, maybe that's a license to sort of take a go. Or they seem chopped out. Yeah, it's. I mean, if it's a clean breakout and a first entry, if it's, you know, beautifully bearish, tight under that EMA, maybe that's an option. But I think it's worth going through the charts. I think, you know, the more you sit here, I mean, the trades we take, you know, were handed down on 10,000-year-old tablets. They stem from someone sitting in front of the markets and watching price, which is exactly what we do day by day. So we're going to notice setups and certain things work better than others. Same again, that type of channel I look for, that slightly wide channel. Whenever you get a bullish bar in a downtrend, sell it. 8 ticks profit, 8 tick stop. That one would have worked. So these are just things you'll notice with time, aren't they? But that worked beautifully. Down, down, down. Double width channel. As soon as you get a bullish bar, you short it. A few ticks up and then down. I'm afraid to go long because my position. Do you know, one thing I've learned, and I've learned this the hard way, is you can't fight the trend. If the market's moving down, you've just got to go with it, unless you know something otherwise. So many times I've taken risks with evaluations thinking it's got to turn around now. I don't know why I do it that way. I wouldn't trade a PA that way. I'd only ever go with the market. And if you go with the market straight away, you know, gravity's on your side in this sense. And in a lot of cases, it will help you out. You know, so there's no setup here, but look, as soon as we got to maybe an area there, down it came. So, you know, the way of the trend is naturally in your favour anyways, on your side. And obviously till you know where you're looking at maybe something that may reverse. I'd still like another leg up. If we can get another leg up here and a bearish bar, I would have a go at that because it's still 2 legs up. Even sometimes if it breaks below there, I've seen Penguin take plenty of those 2 legs up after it's broke the lows. So there's a bearish bar there. In fact, there's a second entry short there. You wouldn't take that because it's stacked up and you'd expect it to come back and stop you out. But as within a downtrend anyway, sometimes they just work. Counter trend, at least go with the logical big picture. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Bitcoin. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? It was 107,000 on this morning, I think. It went down to 15,000, didn't it? Yeah, 106 odd thousand. Unbelievable, isn't it? I was watching a program about Bitcoin the other day, and there was a guy bought some Bitcoin when they were 20 cents each. Unbelievable, isn't it? You know, for a few $100, you could set yourself up for life. Well, not even that much. 20 cents. So 5 for $1. 50 for $10. You'd have over $5 million now if you bought $10 worth in about 2008. That's unbelievable. Makes you bloody sick. I watched that Indian guy that came in early, bought 5,000 of them in about 2009. 5,000 he bought. I can't remember what he sold them for, but he was the one that bought that NFT for $60 million. So if you're stupid enough to buy NFT, you're stupid enough to spend $60 million on an NFT, he must have made a lot of money out of Bitcoin. 106. Be interesting to see where it goes. Things like Kathy Wood, who I tend to follow. She's a CEO of ARK Investing. She said it could hit 200 or 250,000 by the end of next year. Who knows? Who knows, really? You just never know. But I think when we kind of get into the bear market again, I think I might start dollar cost averaging into it once it gets maybe to 50,000 or below 50,000 or somewhere around about there. It went up to 60, I think it was 66 or 67,000 at the height of the last bull market. It went down to $15,000. So it went down kind of about 75, 78%. So I think it's a good investment personally. I mean, everything's a risk to a degree, but if you're going to invest in crypto, it's a good idea to follow the big players that tend to follow it. But if I was a young lad now and had a couple of $1,000, you could stick them into Bitcoin, lock it up in a cold wallet and come back 20 years later and retire. So what is going on here? So it does look like we could, it's kind of a correction. We could push down for this second leg. It's starting to look like it, isn't it? We've got some, that'll be minus, that'll be Friday's lows down here. Saw on Twitter a reminder of the man who bought 2 pizzas for 10,000. God, Bennett, you would struggle with that, wouldn't you? 10,000 Bitcoin for a pizza. What would that be worth now? Crikey, it'd take you off an hour to work it out, wouldn't it? Be that much? 10,000 Bitcoin and 100,000 each. So that'd be 10,000, 100,000. What's that? 100 million? 100 a billion? I don't know. It's a lot of money, isn't it? 10,000 Bitcoin. Let's have a look. I never want to miss a kind of calculation. So 10,000 times 106,000. Is it even going to work it out? What's that? 1.06 E9. Is that 1.6 billion? E9. I've not seen that before. I come on a calculator. E9. Must be some of you maths geniuses out there. It's got to be 1.6 billion, isn't it? 10 is a million. 100 is 10 million. 1,000 is 100 million. 10,000 is a billion. Yeah, 1.6 billion. Wow. Yeah, that was an expensive pizza. Mind you, on the upside, he'd have never waited to sell it at that price, would he? We all think if we'd have bought, I wish I'd have bought Bitcoin back then, but there's no way you'd have sold it long ago, wouldn't you? When it's $1,000 or something like that, you wouldn't hold it, would you? I dare say there are some people out there that did. Okay, this does look like it's coming down, so it'd be nice to get a couple of legs up here. So while this is kind of going sideways and working it out, I'm just going to take advantage of a quick 5-minute break to make a cup of tea. So yeah, I think many would have. No, they wouldn't have done, would they? There probably some, but I suppose it depends if you don't need the money. Okay, quick 3 to 5 minute break, make a cup of tea, and I will be back. In fact, I'm just going to put that on hold just 1 minute. Reason being, on this chart, it's pretty much the same there, but this is ranging a bit, so I may look for a failed breakout. So I'm just going to put my break on hold a minute. That is ranging nice. So if we get a leg and a leg, we may get a failed break out of this. I'm not saying we definitely will. If you break out, pull back, I'll go and have my break, but I like the way that's ranging, but we've had a push down and sideways off, and that results in that. So if we can get a break out of this, that may be interesting. What does it look like on the other chart? It's a bit wicky, so it's not as obvious, but it's the same picture. It might be too late, to be fair. There's a little bull bar back there, which I think is going to get targeted. Big V bottoms are tops this morning. I'll watch for them. Still time, don't see many in the... Yeah. So, I mean, in all honesty, I was going to say this may be bottoming, but I don't think it is. I think it's just lost some steam. I think a couple of legs up. If we can get a leg and a leg up and test this bottom, that will give us a possible fell breakout. Let's have a look. It's a bit wicky on this chart, but on the other one it's a bit clearer. I'm surprised how different these two are today. But if we can get a leg and a leg and get a bearish bar up here. Trouble is, I like to do it. I like to keep them bearish fell breakouts below that EMA, but that EMA is in the channel, so I don't think it's going to happen. Sorry, in the range. A little bit of congestion, so I'm just going to keep both charts in front of me here, so you can see. Possible second entry short up here. Yeah, see, possible second entry short. I wouldn't want to go short down here, though. I tend to like waiting for it to break up, because if there's any shorts there, a lot of the time it'll do that push above, stop them out, and then have a nice big bearish bar, and then have that push down then. So I wouldn't want to take a trade in here, because there's a lot more risk of it getting stopped out, only to come down in that direction. We can pretty much see on the one chart, I think. Yeah, someone's just prices just put a picture of the daily, and it is just going sideways at the moment. So I think it likely we have a breakout somewhere. But it may just go sideways for a few more days. So we've got this run up to Christmas now. So I don't know, are people slowly coming out of the markets at the moment? Okay, let's see if we can get a fell breakout. I'm going to get an order ready, yeah?
Order
Just in
submitted.
case. I'm trying to avoid using the buy and sell buttons now, so I want that little extra time to think. So channel down, maybe 2 attempts to push up if we can get a failed breakout up here. I'm on the VA hospital appointment today. Last time they said Sylvia didn't have anything to do with it. I don't know. Look at your feet. It's nice to know you guys are taken care of, you old chaps. Yeah, you got to look after your people. Something we lack over here in the UK. We don't look after our ex-forces. Once you're out, you're out. I think you get treated initially, but if you have something, I know things like Gulf War syndrome that we talked about the other day, doesn't necessarily come on straight away. But I know just from British troops over here, obviously I was an army family, so I have sort of family in and around the military. I have done for years. And I know a lot of the guys in the battalion that my father and stepfather were in, and my stepbrother, they lost a lot of guys after. In fact, they lost more guys to taking their own life than they did in the Afghanistan conflict themselves, and that should never happen. There's no point in supplying them with all the equipment they need for over there. You need to back them up when they come back, because that's sometimes where the real problems set in. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work that day. If you have guys risking their life for you, not what they go through, what their families go through, you need to look after them for the rest of their days. If they have any issues related to the job they did, and that is one thing we lack. We have to rely on Prince Harry's done quite a lot for Help for Heroes they have over here, which is a charity. You shouldn't need charity to help your troops. The government should. It's a flipping disgrace. So let's have a look here. This is starting to push a bit too high for a failure, but if we can bounce off here, I don't know whether this is bottoming. I don't think it is. I just think it's a pullback, because the way this is pushing down, I'd like to see this other leg, so it may just be one attempt, second attempt. No, you've got to look after your people. I know you get a lot more respect over in the US as servicemen. Over here, you don't so much. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got to look after your people. You have to. You shouldn't have guys committing suicide. It's going to happen. I get it. But you need to have things in place to help them. You shouldn't have to rely on charities. Okay, so on my other chart, it doesn't look too bad. Let's see how this forms. It's quite good to have the 2 charts actually. See, we've got a little micro trend channel here. There's a bearish bar there which has touched this and it's triggered. But you wouldn't really want to go short there just yet. Yeah. See, my other chart, there's almost like a little hidden second entry short here. It looks like 2 little legs. And out of this, normally, excuse me, you'd fade this. But I'd only look for a lower high here. It just doesn't look like it's in a rush to come back in. A lot of the times it will come back in pretty quick. But what I don't want to do is get caught out by getting in too premature. So if it just doesn't look right, I'm just going to have to sit it out. Still too risky, this is really. Double bottom, higher low. A lot of the time, you know, fading these will work, but as that's still in that uptrend, although it did work,
Order
I
cancelled.
just can't take it, unfortunately. So if you got in there, I think you got 3 points or close to them. No, not quite. I'd have to get to there. I think it's probably likely it will. I think that's pushed strong below that EMA, so I think it's going to test these bottoms anyway. But because that bearish bar was still in that channel, it's just too dangerous to take, I think. But I would expect that to hit that 3 1/4 point to push through. It's just a shame we didn't have a little bit of separation there. I would have had a go at that. If we'd have had maybe a couple of bars and a little bit of sideways, I'd have had a go at that. So I'll take this away now, but it lines up with the bottom of the close of those bars there. So maybe have one attempt to go higher, maybe have a second, maybe have a couple of pushes before it comes down some more. If we do get another leg down, it by likely would take us down to this initial larger leg. So if we get down to there and then to there, we're in that kind of vicinity. So one push up with a break. Let's see if we get a second bit of rejection up here. So let's see what happens now. So that now has stopped that out. Let's see if it takes out that. That would be 2 pushes up. Let's see if it bounces off this line. That will be a second entry short, clearing out any stops. Let's see what happens. A big bearish bar here. I may have a go at that. We're at the key entry point. Looks like it's working in this top tier. Just going to get an order ready there, just in case.
Order submitted.
So channel break, new high. So any stops there now have gone in case there was any. Let's see what it does now. If it is bearish, it's quite a small risk. Oof, it's a tough one. Could do either or there. It is holding there, but I just don't like that. So I'm going to leave that alone.
Order cancelled.
A lower high would be a better option, but it's a doji. It may work, but if it was going to work, I think it would have done by now. What's that 5 next to that number there? It just tells us how many ticks in the current bar. So at the moment, there's 6 ticks in there. So it just helps you make a decision on what the risk is like. Yeah, someone's taken it. Someone's in on it. I think a lower high for me would be a better option. Because it may just go up and stop that out. I think that is a better place to put that. I think it sits on more, so that may be better. But I think the lower high here is the safest option. Excuse me just a second. So that would be a lower high, wouldn't it? I've got stuck in these that go down and across before. I prefer my lower high a little bit further away from that one. Yeah, it is a second entry short there. It may work. I've been caught in these. I call them down and across lower highs. It's not going to form anyway. So it's a bit riskier, I think. If that would have been a lot more bearish, that bar, it may have encouraged a few more sellers. Yeah, that looks to me like it may chip above there. Yeah, it's going to, I think, isn't it? Yeah, it has, by a tick. It's just, I'm not a fan of dojis like that. It's just a little bit uncertainty there. Opens and closes the same place. What's it going to do, you know? So now there's always a possibility that we may have something like this. It's certainly feasible, or even more like that. Maybe a spike and channel. It's hard to know, really. I just try to incorporate some of the bottom or give it a little bit more room to go, but it's hard to know at the moment, so I'm going to remove it, I think. Okay. I'm going to get back to my, I'm going to go and have that break. Okay. 3 to 5 minutes, I'll be back. trying to hold it, isn't it? It's struggling to... it's struggling to get up. Is it going to drop? 2 legs up, isn't it? If we can push below that EMA and give us a lower high, I'll have a go at that. I wonder if we do have something like that. It's possible. Okay, so maybe there's a channel here with a break. New low and then retesting it. This looks like it could push off in that direction. Leg, sideways leg. In fact, there is a little bit of congestion here. Leg, sideways leg. Get a bearish bar up here. Now, could you trade that as a fell break out of there? Trouble is, price is above the EMA at the moment, so and after that channel break new low, this could be bottoming. So this may be reversing. So I think the simple thing to do is just to leave this alone. So all I want to be aware is, where could it go? Where could it turn? Could it be there? Not sure. So this could be reversing. If we have got a channel here, break, 1, 2 pushes to a new low, and then a few attempts to test this to push down, which didn't seem to work. So this looks to me now like it may be pushing up, maybe back into this range, maybe reversing, who knows. But I'm leaving shorts alone at the moment. This is, we've had our 2 pushes down to a new low, and it tested this 3 times and pushed strong above the EMA and strong up again. So if we can get a second entry long, I think I'm looking at longs, I would suggest now. There's always a possibility of something wider, but I don't think so. I've kind of gone off that idea. So, you know, maybe there is something like that. Maybe a spike in channel somewhere. Doesn't look terrible. Break, 2 pushes to a new low. Okay. That is an overshoot. So let's see where this, look at that. So is this just at an overshoot and bouncing off the top of the channel? It's hard to say. Thomas Wade's got that as a wider channel to there, and he's got that from there, in which case it looks okay. Maybe we've had this push up and a bounce. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense where it tends to go from there, doesn't it? So far it's working. I can't get round there anyway. If you get round there, your channel's going to end up coming out here, isn't it? Which So it makes sense. We've had our bounce in here. We've had a push up. We've come back and bounced here, which often then, if there is an uptrend, that's kind of where the base is. Thomas Wade on his Discord. It's $100 per 3 months. He kindly enough lets me use just the Discord, but for the $100 you get his learning package and all the videos and all that sort of stuff. But I just use this for just to catch up with other traders, just to, you know, you guys see my chart so you can kind of compare mine to yours, and if you know, if you miss something, I might see it and vice versa. But I can't do that. See, so that's why I kind of silence it. But there is some good people in here. Obviously, most of you know Thomas. There's Marco in here as well. Most of you know Marco, and Taylor somewhere. He might be coming in a bit later. Taylor from Top Pick Trading. So there's some good traders in it. It's a nice community actually. I like it. But it just gives me something to back up my charts. If there's something, you know, that I see that I don't see, and you know, someone else does, it just gives me, you know, two heads are better than one type of thing. So, but he does charge for the whole package. I think it's $100 per 3 months. It's about $1 a day, something like that, which is pretty cheap, really, isn't it? He's a nice guy, Thomas, as well. He's always nice, friendly, and polite. And if you do join his system as well, he's got lots of videos, all sorts of bits and pieces there. No, he lets me in the forum for free. I did approach him about 5 months ago and said if he allowed me to come at the forum, I'd mention his name on my site and maybe get him some business. Strangely enough, he said, I'll happily let you in the forum. He said, but I don't generally advertise for people to join. I kind of let them organically, which is why I don't necessarily push him. But I, you know, if somebody asks me, I'll mention it. Yeah. But I paid for the first 3 months because I said I ain't got a problem with paying, and he went, well, if you just want the the forum, he said it's fine. So, or perhaps he values my expertise. I tend to think not, actually, but no, it's nice to just have something else just to put your eyes on, and I can, if I'm unsure about a channel or I've missed something, maybe someone else has seen it. So it just, you know, two heads are better than one anyway, or multiple heads, I should say. There's quite a few traders in there actually. I don't know how many. It doesn't say. Oh, 189 members. He's really good. Good to see you connected. He is really good, yeah. One of the things I liked about Thomas when I first started watching him is he's shown you his losses. And not many people do. You know, they'll put charts out and they'll show you the winning trades, but they won't take your losses. He's shown you your losses. And I like that. I think it's a strength, not a weakness, to show your losses. And that's why I kind of started watching him. The charts are good to see during the day. Absolutely, yeah. There's a nice bunch of people there, actually. Okay, so are we having two legs down and this is going to push up? Or are we going to have a break here and it's going to test this and push up? Or is there a larger channel? Take your pick. It could be something like that. It's possible. So, and it also looks kind of like a nice channel. Wow. I don't know what caused that, but the second that hit that line up, it went. That shut up for 16 ticks in a couple of seconds. There's no news. I don't know what caused that. Wow, look at it. So I'm guessing there was some, I mean, look at that. That's going Is there something happening in the news that I'm unaware of? Someone said, did Trump tweets pull back traders getting in? It seems that way. Yeah, I mean, they got in strong there. I was looking at a possibility of a second entry long being this channel looking nice, but obviously there's no option. It just went straight in and straight up. But thinking about this, if there's a channel, this is a break, 2 pushes to a new low, a bunch of times to try and push low, and it wouldn't have it. Then we had 2 strong pushes. That one went up, came back, and that went up again, and it stayed above the EMA. So either a reversal or back into the range, but I've gone off the idea of a bigger downtrend now. Obviously, that's just changed my mind. But I would say that is an overshoot. But there's definitely buyers control in there, isn't there? And I'm guessing buyers buying here are thinking they're going to ride this thing up. So interesting. Second entry short. You'd expect it to correct, wouldn't you, after the little overshoot? Doesn't look like it's going to, does it? Ooh, crikey. Someone's buying there. Someone's after this big move. I wouldn't even consider taking a triple test short here. This thing looks like it's about to take off. There's obviously a lot of buyers in there. This thing's going up for sure. So to me, there's buyers in here. That slight pullback, buyers again. So this market looks like to me like it's going to push up. So a second entry long off here, I don't think would be a bad trade. There's obviously clearly buyers there. I mean, the temptation is just to jump in if there's that many buyers, but I've realised over time it just doesn't work. I'm going to leave that there just as it is. So after this move down and this bottoming pattern, there's obviously traders trying to ride this thing up, isn't it? It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Let's see if there's more buyers down here. Interesting to see if price gets here. Do those buyers come in again? Be nice for them to let us know, wouldn't it? In fact, do you know what? I'm tempted just to
Order submitted.
trade an evaluation on this.
Order filled. Order filled.
Take a bit of a risk just to see if this does push up, because this is looking really bullish.
Order filled.
Just to the top there.
Order filled. Order filled.
I'll start getting out of the habit of doing this. But there is a bearish bar that looks trapped there. Order filled where? It's just an evaluation. It's okay, Karina. I am taking a risk, but I'm guessing a couple of legs back here. This thing may go up some more. There seems to be buyers coming in here. Yeah, it's just an evaluation. There's a bearish bar here that's trapped. No, don't ever call me a masterclass. I'm anything but a masterclass. I shouldn't be doing it this way, really. This is just proper risky. This is a masterclass how not to trade an account. I'm just relying on these buyers coming in. They seem to be really strong. And this is going against me now, see, so. All of life is an evaluation. Yeah, it is. This ain't going to go much further before it stops. It closes the account. I'm hoping there's buyers coming in. We are back to the EMA now, so possible second entry long. I'm just relying on buyers coming in. I know I'm taking a risk, but it is just the evaluation. I shouldn't say it's just an evaluation, really, because so here goes another evaluation. It just goes to show you can't assume anything, doesn't it? Let's get rid of that. You can't assume anything. You think it's going up, buyers are coming in, well, let's jump in. So I went in with a risk, with an evaluation. Gone. Let me just get rid of this. So You can't take anything for granted. Triple test was good. Yeah, because of the breakout, I wouldn't have taken it. Well, yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Sometimes we get a breakout from here, but when the buyers come in there, and there, I thought the second it touches this, buyers are going to come in again. It just goes to show buyers may have just been pushing this to the top. It just goes to show you can't take anything for granted. Disconnect this again and then reconnect it. Going back down by the look of things. The feeling missing a trade is so strong. It is strong, mate. Yeah. Just excuse me a sec. Sorry, I'm just paying something, that's all. Yeah, it is. I think, look, I mean, what I'll say is if you're on a sim, it doesn't matter. A sim really is to get you to a stage where you're kind of learning what to do. Now, if you're on a PA, the trouble is, there's no easy way of doing it. You are going to take some, you are going to blow some. It's all kind of part and parcel of learning. And I remember when I first started, it's almost impossible not to take a trade. You're kind of so excited, and you want to get in there, and you want to try and prove yourself, and you want to try and make some money. And but yeah, that feeling is, do you know, I was sitting here a couple of days ago thinking, I remember when I first started streaming, and I remember sitting in here, and it was a massive bearish day, and it came back to the EMA, which it had done 5 or 6 times, and I just clicked sell. I thought, I'm going to get in here, otherwise I'm going to miss out. And the second I did, triggered me, came back and stopped me out, and that was a massive bearish day. So one thing I've learned, and having said that, I've just proved myself wrong by assuming and taking a trade on an evaluation. Now, I know an evaluation is costing me about £25, so it's not the end of the world, but it's really besides the point. At my level, I shouldn't be doing that, and that's kind of one bad habit I've got, which I need to do something about. But you know, you have to just sit here. The best advice I can give you really is just sit there until you see a trade that jumps out and waves at you. Now, if you're still relatively new, take every trade, like Max says, that you believe to be a setup. And when you lose trades, you learn kind of what not to do. You kind of don't think you do, and it takes a lot of time. But after a while, you'll start to stay out of trades where you'll think, ooh, I recognise this before, I've been stung here. And you get a little feeling that something doesn't feel right. So all you can do really is just to sit here and play the game, and that's how you learn. So, you know, I wouldn't worry too much about taking impulsive trades. It does happen, and it's kind of a good way to learn not to. You know, we all sit here every day with great intentions, but life doesn't always work out that way. So I wouldn't beat yourself up, but if it's happening a lot, make sure it happens on a sim, because it's not as painful when you lose on a sim. You know what I'm saying? So excuse me a sec. I'm just going to take a quick bath. I'm just guzzling water today, so I'm just I'm going to have a pee a second. Won't be a sec. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, you know, we did a poll, as I mentioned a month ago, on the Facebook group. How long did it take people to become consistent? And the biggest area which were ticked was 4 to 6 years. It sounds like a long time, and don't let it put you off. Any job that you can do that can make you a significant amount of money is never going to be easy. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. So, you know, when you can trade, when you can start to make money, you can make like 1, life-changing money, and 2, life-changing, as in the fact that you don't have to work for anybody else again. You don't have to leave your house. You can. I work about 2.5 hours a day. You can work wherever you want in the world. So there's so many benefits to trading. This is a second entry short here. There's so many benefits to trading, but it does take time to get there. So don't let people talking about 3, 4 or 5 years put you off. All I can say is, if you're newish, the most important thing for me to tell you is really be careful with the purse strings. Don't throw money away. at some point, whether you're on one now or you move on to evaluation, only ever have one at a time. Because if you're copy trading, you're just going to be blowing loads. There is a second entry short there. There's not much room to the lows. It's 10 ticks, isn't it? I would prefer, after this push in, something a little bit more substantial of a breakout for me. I'd rather a leg and a leg up. This just seems to be so small. So it's a little bit more riskier, this. Exciting is good, not the future trading. Yeah, it was scary as hell, but I still liked it. Yeah. It's, you know, I never really truly understood the meaning of the word journey until I started to learn to trade. And it's a journey of kind of discovery, isn't it? You learn a lot about yourself. But the rewards will come if you stick at it. You know, you'll hear bounded around such a lot, 95%, you know, of people will never make it as a trader. It's not the fact that they won't make it as a trader. It's just they give up. Because it does take time. You know, people think all I got to do is buy and sell. How hard can that be? But it's not that simple. You know, anybody can close their eyes and hit the buy or sell button and make a bit of money, but you won't make it consistently. And the market has a habit of anybody who doesn't know what they're doing, it's going to rip you up, chew you up, and spit you out. But if you're persistent and you sit here every day and just do a few hours or whatever you can, you'll get better at it and you'll start to get to a stage where you'll make money. But it's not easy. Like a lot of jobs, you know, you can't, you know, go into carpentry or be a bricklayer and expect to know all the answers within a couple of years. It takes a while. You know, I was a bricklayer for a while. It takes, you know, I think years ago, going back 30, 40 years, maybe an apprenticeship in bricklaying was 5 years. You know, you wouldn't think it was that hard to lay bricks, but there's so many bits of problem solving and just things that, you know, of experience. So, and you know, as a trader, you're going to make way more money than you'll ever make working on a site or working in an office or something like that, and you're going to work less hours for it. See if we get a lower high or two legs up here, but that is a little bit risky. It may hold, but it's such a small push out. I know it's a second entry by the count. It's such a small push out that I think something's telling me here. You have that little feeling, something saying just be cautious here. And if you did say that, that is not what you want to see. It may hold, but my gut feeling is I needed to wait. I would rather have one leg, two legs, so I'd rather see that stopped out and then a bearish bar or a lower high, either or. It's a matter of getting past fear and excitement. Yeah. If you could, one thing I strive for is to get into a trade and not be fearful. So, you know, when you're on a sim and you're in a trade, you're not scared, are you? You're not nervous. But when you're trading for real money, there is an element of that there. But when you get to that stage that you're not fearful, you'll start doing a better job, I think. I still get a bit fearful about losing a trade. Now, yesterday I took a couple of trades and I got lucky on the first one. I moved my stop a little bit, got lucky on the first one and won the second one. So that's about 12 winning trades in a row. And part of the reason I wanted to move my stop a bit is because I didn't want to take a loss. Not so much for the fact of loss as because I'd won 10, 11 trades in a row. So if we can break above this and then have a bearish bar, there's two legs up there. So I would take a short if this was bearish below that EMA. Leg and a leg. I'm guessing there's very close to a measured move there. Very close. If that's bearish, channel down with a break, two pushes up. second entry short, not so much by the count, but more it's a visual second entry short. It's 2 legs up, but that doesn't look like it's in a hurry to come down. But it is a real journey. It's a journey of emotions. All I'll say to you, keep control of your purse strings. It's very easy to fly through money here. It really is. Take my word for it. When you have an evaluation, have one. You don't need more than one. All you're doing is exposing yourself to risk just to feel what it's like and get used to it. You buy a piece of coffee trade and think, yeah, I can trade 10 at the same time. You can, sure, yeah. But when you take one loss, you'll take 10 losses. And it can be expensive. So just take care with your money. Just keep an eye on it. So
Order cancelled.
So that was an overshoot. 2 legs up and a leg. I'm surprised that worked like that. I didn't think that would. Now, we only have to wait for the signal bar anyway. But there was a failure there, but after that tight channel, going long for me wasn't really an option. Not that it wasn't going to go long. There's always an option. See, we've also got 2 pushes up here. Leg and leg. Yeah, 3 or more bars. It's not too bad, this. It is readable. If you had a bearish bar that closed below that EMA, it would look like 2 pushes up with a bearish bar. It's a little bit more choppier on my other chart. It's a little bit harder to read here. But on the one in front of me, this one here, it is readable. We've got a push and a push, but obviously market had other ideas. But I used to find it near impossible to sit here for 2.5 hours and not take a trade. Ray, how you doing, Ray? How long have I been trading? 4 years. 4 years this Christmas. I spent 6 months with a guy called Andrew Lockwood learning to trade currency. And then I moved over to trading the ES about 3.5 years ago. But I consider myself getting into that intermediate level where I've got some skills enough to make money. I still have a few hiccups in there, and that's taken me 4 years. So it just goes to show how long it can take you. But this, like not every other job, you know, if you go out as a young carpenter onto a site, you may get a low wage, but you're getting a wage. Whereas this, you know, you're likely going to be going for a few years without earning anything. Quite the opposite, actually. Where are you from, Ray, anyway? I would like to have some new faces in. But yeah, it has a high failure rate, not because it's like any type of job, whatever you want it to do, it takes time. But it has a high failure rate because purely, not because it's so difficult, it's because it takes so long and it can cost so much. But it's not necessarily any more difficult than any other type of a skill, apart from the fact that you've got that added emotional content. But people just give up, which is why it kind of takes so long, and kind of why there's such a high failure rate. So there is a short failure there, but I don't really want to take that at the moment because with a break from this, I was kind of expecting a couple of pushes and then a bearish bar, which is why I stayed out of that failure. Although that worked, you don't know it at the time. Yeah, I noticed Thomas Wade never took a trade yesterday. It's unusual for him to not take a trade, which goes to show how tough things are at the moment. I wonder if there is a wider channel. It's possible. Leg, another leg. Could just be a range day today. We may end up just up here. I think at the moment it's probably just range, isn't it? We had those two legs down. Market's a great teacher, certainly is. Thanks for your openness. You're welcome, mate. do you think about levels? How far back do you go? Levels. When you say levels, you mean price levels. I don't. If you're talking about price levels, I don't generally pay much attention to them because I think primarily, like today is day. What do you think about levels? Today's like day 10. What exactly do you mean, Michael? Levels. I thought you meant price level. I wasn't sure you're looking at price levels. I mean, really, looking at the last few days, it's pretty much just ranging, I think, isn't it, really? Well, we know it's ranging, actually, if we look at the daily. Look at 117. You're on about... Okay, yeah, you're on about here, yeah? 117. I'm not sure what you mean, bud. What do I think about them? You're on about, do I look back at these levels where they bounce? At the 27th, and I can't go back this far without, let's have a look. So I look at the daily. Going back to November. I mean, the price, we're down here, aren't we? 27th of November. So this is the daily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. You know about the bounce here? Down here. Yeah, I mean, I generally scalp over and over. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Trouble is, you never quite know where it's going to bounce. Here, it didn't get much below it. Here, it actually did. So we're just kind of ranging out that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Over the last 9 or 10 days, we're just kind of ranging. You don't know whether it's going to bounce here when it connects, you know, like something like this, whether it connects to the EMA or whether it's actually going to drop through it. I just generally go for 3 points, so I don't pay attention to levels so much. I'm generally aware of yesterday's highs and lows, but I go for such a small move, really. Obviously, depending on where I go from, if I got into a higher low here, I mean, I go for 3 points, which has got to be a 3 1/4. So I don't tend to go for bigger moves, so I don't need to pay too much attention to it. Generally, if I get in there, that is the extent of my moves, and I probably average 3 or 4 trades a week, average, maybe a bit less some days, maybe a bit more. So I don't pay too much attention to areas. This area, we kind of knew it may bounce. But you've got to give it its sort of due diligence that it may hit a point and come back. But I just wait for a setup, really, a failure, a second entry long, something in the right kind of area, and go for the 3 points, and that's it. I'm kind of done, really. So I don't pay too much attention to. If I was getting in at areas like this and getting out up here, you know, I'd kind of be more aware of them. But I take such a small move. I mean, if you look at that sort of, you know, the last few days, if, you know, I got in here, maybe down here, you know, I'm in and out there. That's me over and done with. So it's a small slice of what potentially, you know, price can do. So I don't pay too much attention to the levels. Occasionally you'll see me draw something, you know, if we're bouncing. You know, occasionally I'll do something like that if we're bouncing, and when it gets into this area, if I can get a good short and the context is right, you know, I'll pay attention to that, but only if it's sort of done it many times. But we're far from that yet. Exponential. Yeah, I read that as well. Today is like day 10 for me. That's why I couldn't quite understand what you're on about. Are you on about you've been trading 10 days? Yeah, I didn't quite fully understand what you meant. It's not a great day today. If I was aware of that, I may have had a go at that. But at the time, we've pushed in on this range, so... I mean, if you are new and you want some good education for a very, very reasonable price, I would 100% recommend Mac Price Action Trading System. I mean, the amount of money he charges you, I feel like I'm robbing him. And this is the system that I trade, and I think a lot of others in the stream and on the Facebook group. And Mac charges you the measly sum of $125 per year. I mean, it's peanuts. You won't find any type of, training, teaching, or any type of formal education based on trading for that little. He's a nice, genuine guy. It's a great system, but like any system, it takes time. It doesn't matter, what type of strategy you use. All a strategy really is a means of entering and exiting the trade at a certain given area for a certain reason, and understanding how the price is. But if you want any type of stuff, priceactionstrading.com is a great place to start, and a very cheap place to start as well. I know there are trader individuals out there which will charge you a damn sight more than that. And Thomas, well, I think Thomas is, it's $100 per 3 months. Thomas Wade teaches Mac stuff as well. Some say they prefer Wade's teaching. I think how you teach somebody and what you talk about helps as well. So there's another place as well. Thomas Wade. I think it's $100 every 3 months, which it's $1 a day. So same again, another great place to look. Mind you, I have heard people say when you're learning, don't start with scalping. And I kind of understand why. I'm all in on Mac. Wish I could see his trades. Yeah, I do as well. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. I would. Perhaps we should hook up together and kidnap him, lock him in a room with a computer until he gives us his secrets. It's just his way, I think. How do you mix price action with resistance support levels? I learned Thomas Wade. I mean, resistance to support levels really are levels where you see maybe where people, some people use these levels to enter a trade. So if the market is pushed up multiple times to an area and reversed, chances are it's going to do the same. So, and if it's coming up to an area here, so when price came up to here, we've been up here once before, and sometimes that can act as a support level, and it price couldn't get above it, it came back down. We did here, we broke above it, and then we pushed back in, and now we're above it. So there are key levels, maybe end of the days, end of the week, maybe an area where market's gapped. There's an area down here where it seems to be consistently bouncing, and same up here. But because I trade for such a small amount, I don't pay too much attention to that sort of thing. But I think they're more important if you're more of a swing trader and you go for bigger moves. But it's good to be aware as well. I mean, depending on what the market was doing, if we'd hit this area 3 or 4 times, probably not best to go long into it. So, if you were on a channel up here and you had a long, then it's good to be aware of what price might have done on the last day or the last week, and maybe just stay out. So these are little things you'll pick up in time. But from a scalper's point of view, all I really need to know is where the market's going to go for the next few minutes, really. 20 contracts, 15 year. I'm surprised he doesn't trade more than that, really. Perhaps it's just where he likes to be. And I've been going 2 hours and 20 odd minutes. It does 8, 7 and 1 run a year. Runners don't appeal to me for some reason. Maybe they will in time. I only trade 2 contracts, but obviously times over 6 accounts. So it's not really feasible for me to trader runner. I think Mac describes around, I think about 20%. So no more than 20 or 25% of your contract size on your runner. So if you had five contracts, you may use one on a runner or 4 contracts. I'd certainly do. Are you on about? Oh, you're talking to someone else there. Penguin's another good option as well. In my opinion, he's an extremely competent trader. He reads those markets like a psychic reads a palm, your palm. He's very good. When you listen to him talk about the markets and price, he explains it so well. And I have heard somebody describe him as borderline genius. Very similar again to Max, but just more on a slightly larger scale. So, excuse me a sec. I'm just going to have another pee. I've been guzzling water today, so I'm backwards and forwards a bit. I'll be a second. So I did read it just I was left. Back to the key point now. It's hard to know what's going on at the moment. We're going up, we're going down, we're going up, we're going down. I don't want to rely on this holding because we've come off here and we've only got to the midline. I'm not sure about what I'm seeing here, whether this is non-existent or whether this is going up and down. In fact, I'm inclined to completely get rid of that. So we've got to channel the break a new high, push back in. I wouldn't want to go long or short here at the moment. We're kind of whipping up and down. It could come down or it could continue higher. We'll see, we kind of been in this range, but we got in last time and we only got so far in before it reversed. Yeah, I mean, there is a lower high there, but what are we doing? Are we bouncing here? Are we going to push up some more? At the moment, I'm unsure about what direction. I mean, if you look at that, it does seem to be finding some support there, which could mean it may bounce here and push up, or it could come back in. It's hard to say at the moment. It's just a bit unclear, and when it's unclear like that, don't even bother trying to work out what's going on. Just leave it. Sit and watch it. I mean, there's a lot of the day where it's hard to know exactly what the market's doing, and that's the best time to get out. Usually it's kind of chopping around without any real obvious direction. That's a good time to come out, to stay out of it. It is hard to do that sometimes, but you've got to be super disciplined, or you've got to try and be super disciplined. I'm much better at it now. I used to be awful. I randomly used to see the market going down and didn't want to miss it, so just jumped in for a sale, and the market's very efficient at stealing your money. It really is. There's still a gap at 61.50. Yeah, there is a little one. This does look like it could go up. See, maybe it'll go up and fill that gap. See, someone mentioned looking for a failed second entry long here. I'm not sure whether this market is going to come down because look, bounce, 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 bounce again. Struggling to get through, so it could be working up. See, you may think there's a higher low there, but a little bit congested. Is it going to hold and push up, or is it going to come below there? I mean, there's always a possibility that we start doing this. Ranging for a bit, which might mean it come down to here. The trouble is, when it's like this, not very clear. There's so many scenarios, and ultimately, if you don't know which one you're looking at, you best just not trade. There is a higher low there, a second entry long, but that could be a trap. My gut feeling tells me that it may be. So that would be a failure. A long failure, but do I really want to go short into this line that's holding price at the moment? There's quite a few different opinions here. Someone said he's looking for a failed second entry long. Now look, price looks like it's moving up there. And just keep it in mind as well, there was a lot of buyers came in here. So there is a failure on this, so the chart looks a little bit clearer. I don't think that's terrible. The only issue I have is this line here. We could get a leg and a leg. As tempting as this is, it could bounce here, could have a leg and a leg, and it could hold. Prices being held here. So although it could still come down, you have to be aware of that. See, we've got this move up. We could have two attempts to push lower, which fail and push up. So there's a bunch of scenarios here. Yeah, there's a few people got in there. It looked better on my other chart. So, leg up, 2 attempts to go lower. This could move up. See if we get an overshoot here and a bounce. 2 legs back. So, let me just put that in there. So, leg and a leg. Channel up. 1 attempt to go lower. 2nd attempt to go lower. This could be a penguin style trade. And I've just flicked onto the penguins. What's it? And look, leg up, 2 attempts to go lower. So someone else is looking at that. Measured move back. So push up, 2 legs back. So that's the penguins Discord. So leg up, 2 attempts to go low with a 2nd leg up. And that's kind of what I'm looking at there. Channel up, 2 legs back and a 2nd leg up. So it's going to have to bounce here. And so I'll see what happens here. And as you say, there's a gap up here to fill. Second entry short, retest in this area. That's interesting. The failure's there, isn't it? So I got one strike. The failure's there. Second entry long triggered a failure. I don't want to trade that though. This is just a lower high, really. Trouble is, I gotta wait for a second entry here because it could trick you. Push up to this line, test the top, and then come down. It's gone too far for a lower high, that has. There's a channel down there, so that's just a first entry, really. Too far for a lower high. That's just kind of a channel in itself, really. Channel with a break. A smaller version. So, second entry short up here would interest me. Looking on my other chart, there's a little bit of congestion here. So, if we can get a break above here in a bearish bar, second entry short, channel down, one push up, second push up. It's hard to say. See, I'm thinking that this may bounce prices, channel up, one attempt to go lower, second attempt. If that pushes up strongly above that EMA, I favour that for going up. Right past this for a second leg. So first entry, another little bounce, couple of legs. Yeah, Thomas has just put that on, so he's looking at the same thing. We'll consider a second entry short. And unfortunately, there isn't one. Well, not as yet. So many times it goes back there and drops. Come on, another push up. Okay. One leg up, see if we can get a second leg up here. See, on my other chart, we've already had a break of this channel. On here, we haven't. On this other chart, we have touch, break, new low. Which is not a major issue. Sometimes we'll have a new low and we'll have another pull back up to the EMA and then we'll come down some more. It's getting slow, isn't it now? I'm assuming it's lunchtime, isn't it? Should be 12:15. That to me has gone a little bit too low. You really want to be out before the lows, and it don't even finish yet, and it's at the lows now. Now it's probably going to come down here, but it could bounce here at some point. I think I'm about done for the day, I think. Coming up to 3 hours. There's only one possibility I can see is that short failure there. The long failure trapping. The short failure trapping the shorts. There's not much else I can see. A little channel with this. I don't know. You may consider that a small break. It's hard, really. I mean, that's pretty bearish, but we're already at the lows, and it's bounced. Not an easy day. Not an easy day. I haven't seen Thomas take a trade again today. I'm just flicking. He never took one yesterday. He hasn't taken one today. So it just goes to show price is hard at the moment. No, he hasn't taken a trade today, which is unlike him. Usually he'll have one, sometimes two, but he's got nothing marked. Okay, one leg up. Let's see if we have a second leg up. Leg and a leg. Okay, I think I'm done for today, folks. Basically just short of 3 hours. So if you carry on trading, best of luck. Failing that, have a great evening, stay safe, and I'll be back tomorrow and we'll do it all again. Bye for now.